council.
Oh my God, Crenton, you could like have the first therapy group for people that have been violated by cameras. Huh?
Right, a support group.
Yeah.
There
Yeah.
you go.
Yeah,
We need one.
Hey,
yeah.
We need one.
I mean, legal abuse syndrome. It's when I first heard about that shit, I said, "Oh, I know I got that. I know I got that."
What's that?
Right. They even have a syndrome. So this is not one bad apple. It's in,
right.
it's in the fucking
And this
DSM.
guy's going to prove it, the one that you have on tonight.
So what'd you think?
I told you I love him. Everything that he said was spot on. I thought I don't know if you heard, but I was talking to Mona about the lineup and the execution. That was flawless.
Really?
Very, very well thought out, if that was thought at all.
Not at all.
It wasn't.
Not at all.
Why would I think you thought about it?
Not at all. No, not at all. I didn't know that she was going to get up and say anything until 2 hours before the meeting, if that.
Yeah.
So you guys don't practice on each other?
Yeah, we did.
Other than other things?
Yeah. we did. I kind of typed mine up last minute because I was like, man, I should say something. So
yeah, I would not feel good trying to have those conversations on the drop of a dime like that. You guys looked like fucking professionals. Way to go.
Yeah.
Professional constitutionalists. Good job, guys.
Well, wait. Thank you. I appreciate it. And what me and her were talking about it last night. It's like, you're in a room with a lot of NPC type people,
Mm-hmm.
who are in the audience, who, they are there, for city council meetings where there's awards and ceremonies. And then after everybody gets through awards and ceremonies, they vacate the city hall. And, the cameras don't show that, but very few people are actually there. Right. But actually, when it was time for comments, when we got up to speak, there was still a good bit of people there, right? And I didn't really make eye contact with anybody out there. I was really making eye contact with city council to try to impress upon them. This is like, I'm not trying to be a dick to you people. This is something that's way bigger going on in our country right now. You know what I mean? But like I was telling her last night, when you do look out and you see people looking at you talking about the Fourth Amendment like you're a fucking alien,
Mm-hmm.
it's a little disheartening to be in that scenario where you're like, am I the crazy one here?
Starting to feel like it these days, but that's why I don't make the best person of etiquette to take the stand either.
Yeah.
I'll tell you flat out, fuck that shit.
We need more of it, I feel like.
All right. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right, cool. You sound real good. All right.
Yeah, hello.
I'm
How's everybody doing? Nice to meet you, Mona.
Pretty good.
How you doing, Sabrina?
That's Mona. That's Sabrina Black. Is it Law or Lawrence? Jonathan?
Law is fine. Full name is Lawrence, though.
All right, cool. No worries. And dude, if you screw up or anything like that, editing is a cool thing. But man, I'm glad to have you on. You did. Sabrina had just got finished watching us speak at City Council last night. Did you got a chance to watch that?
Yeah, I did. I watched it last night.
What are your thoughts on that?
Man, well spoken. I appreciate you for going out there and having the right things to say for us, in the town and the community about Operation Thunder. I heard my name mentioned and everything, and I just appreciate you being well spoken and delivering it to them.
Thank you, man.
Yeah.
And Mona's already seen it, but before we actually do it, because I will pull up a screen share so we can see your video.
Okay.
But you said you were from Chicago?
Absolutely, yep.
How long you been in Houston County?
I've been here 8 years now, maybe longer. Time is flying. Yeah.
All right. And you're an Uber driver?
Yes.
All right. And before we pull up the video, just with your own words, man, tell us what happened, when it happened. Walk us through it, and then we'll pull the video up and
all right. So, you ready now? Go ahead. All right. So, that morning, dropped my son off at school at 7 in the morning, and just started working from there. So I had picked up a gentleman somewhere on Watson, further down, and he was just going a couple blocks up. And my fiance had actually called me and let me know that they had Operation Thunder maybe a few hours ago, a few hours prior. So I was aware of what was going on. I knew exactly what was happening. And I was just looking at all the officers on foot on the corners with vests on as we was just driving past Watson. They were everywhere. And the gentleman in the back was making mention of them too. And, I just let them know, yeah, I see them. They got walkie-talkies, they're obviously spotters, and they're letting the drivers know which cars to pull over. So we were at the light. We were the first car to go as the light was going to turn green. And as soon as we started driving, it was a truck behind me, and I guess the officer was behind him, Georgia State Patrol. They turned their lights on. And I was like, oh, they got one. Like I knew it wasn't me. We couldn't be speeding or anything. And that truck moved out the way. And sure enough, he pulled me over. So he had me pull over in the medical center, going up that hill right there on Watson and before Quarter Road. And he told me I had my phone in my hand. He said he observed me with my phone in my hand. And I was like, no way. Like I have a phone mount. I never touched my phone at all. I'm working Uber, like I'm using GPS. It's no point for me even touching my phone if I'm trying to get to the location that it's telling me to get to. And I even gave him an out. I'm like, I have a dash cam, like there's your out. Like not once did he say, you want to rewind the footage? Can you hit play for me? Like that's what I expected, and I probably would have froze. So I never had to rewind on the spot. But he didn't even give me an option to try to do that. And he said something like, "Did you see the guy on the corner, the officer on the corner?" And I was like, "Man, I didn't have my phone in my hand. Like, I'm not gonna play the question game. You're trying to trick me up." I feel like just asking me different questions. And he just walked away and came back with a ticket in like less than 30 seconds. If you look on the camera, that's the quickest ticket I've ever seen in my life.
Mm-hmm.
Like, even recently when I got pulled over on Russell, it took the guy a while. I had time to get out the car and approach him and talk him into giving me a warning because it takes a while. Like, he had it ready to go.
Yeah.
Ready to go.
And let me ask you a question. All of us here, we're openly, we go through traumas. We all have traumas.
Yeah.
Well, the minute the lights go off, do things like that trigger you whenever you see lights in the
I was
rearview mirror?
triggered before the lights went off, knowing exactly what the operation, well, not exactly, because I've never seen Georgia State Patrol and neighboring police departments working together.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've heard of trying to make quota end of the month. It's going to be more people getting pulled over. But to see Georgia State Patrol, like all like 4 different Georgia State Patrols, one arriving police department with people pulled over simultaneously, it was like, what is this?
Right.
Like what is really going on? So yeah, I was triggered just sitting in the car as I was sitting there with my hand on my chin, just looking and observing the operation. And that's what it looked like. It looked like an operation,
Did you feel safer?
No, I did not feel safe. Excuse me. No, I did not feel safer. I was like, I'm in compliance. I work really hard to have my license, to have my insurance, to be able to even to drive for Uber or rideshare. You got to dot your I's and cross your T's.
Mm-hmm.
So I work hard for these things, and it's like, okay, even though my fiance gave me that warning that is something going on with the officers, I'm like, okay, well, this is what I work hard for. This is why I stay out the way, stay out of trouble,
Mm-hmm.
and make sure I'm, in compliance. So I'm like, okay, I can handle that. But no, right when they told a fib, a lie, I was like, wow, this is ridiculous. Like I'm giving this guy out here, I have my license in my hand. I'm not even trying to keep my license from you. Here you go. Like, go ahead and run my name. See, I have no warrants and I'll be on my way. So I was like almost appalled when he came back with a ticket in his hand.
Right now, me and Mona have seen it, but I don't think Sabrina has seen it yet. So I'm going to pull up a screen share real quick.
All right.
You guys give me a second. And it's okay if we plug your YouTube channel here, right?
Yes.
Everybody go to Law Dixon and subscribe and hit the bell, because I'm so thankful that you did this, but we'll talk about that in just a minute. So let me go ahead and play this for Sabrina, and then we'll go from there. So here is the stop. Now, first, how do these dash cams work? Because after this, I'm getting one. How does it work? Do you hit a button, or does it automatically record?
It automatically records. If I have mine hardwired to my USB port going around my dash and everything. So I don't have to do anything. It just comes on right when you walk past the car. If the car's not running, it shuts off when it's nobody's, when it's not started. And it does 3-minute intervals, and it recycles from the oldest footage to the latest, so you
Okay.
have time to get what you need.
Yeah. I'm certainly, especially after this, I'm certainly getting one. But
Yes,
let me go
absolutely.
ahead and play this. Sabrina, watch this. Okay, so this was during Operation Rolling Thunder to keep us safe, and certainly not for quotas and Warner Robins at all.
Right. It's never about the quotas. And that's the truck behind you, right?
Yes,
That's not the state trooper.
exactly.
So there's
Reactionary
somebody.
video said that white truck on my shoulder here was actually a spotter, a cop in a car, like undercover.
Okay,
I'm not
where at?
sure.
Like right
Yeah,
here?
that truck. No, on the
No, right
inside of the
here.
vehicle.
In the,
Yep,
Mhm.
you'll see that white door over my shoulder. They said that was an undercover car. I'm not sure if he was correct about that, but that's what he said.
Okay, all right. So I know this intersection. All right, so this is during Operation Rolling Thunder. There's a truck behind you. There's some people out here. I guess that might be the spotter. Oh well,
Yeah, that's what they allegedly.
right here.
So yep, somebody was standing there.
Okay. There's a heat truck there. There's a police radar there.
And he does not have his phone in his hand at all.
Yeah.
Mhm.
The whole time.
But here's old boyo.
Oh my God.
Mm.
And oh my God, there's a
Oh,
state
right
trooper
there.
there.
Yeah, they were to the left too. Yeah.
Oh my God.
I'm not gonna lie, the guy in the back looks a little sus. No, I'm just kidding. He's like, he looks like
That hat.
he's rich, getting his driver to drive him
Another
around.
state patrol right there to the right, pulling in over there.
Gotcha. Yeah, saw that.
All right, so here it comes. Let's see the fastest citation ever, certainly for safety and not for revenue generation at all. This is a record-breaking citation.
I don't have any audio.
I don't have any audio
And the
either.
audio.
Put on the captions.
All right, let me pause that real quick. Okay, that is no fucking way for anybody who has ever sworn an oath to the Constitution and wearing a badge to be treating an American whenever they make contact. I'm sorry, what was this officer's name?
This is Officer Gustavo Dienda, 0120.
Of the Georgia State Patrol?
Yes.
Wow.
Post 13.
I'm going to back that up a little bit. This, and look, for people who are not in any kind of a government position or anything, this is the typical approach that we, the people, get from people behind a badge on a daily basis. So let me back it up real quick. And all right, so let me fast forward it again. So you guys can certainly hear it now, right?
Yes.
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 All right, cool. Let's get back to Officer Gestapo. Is that what you said?
Gestapo?
Yes,
Sorry.
Gustavo.
Was it really?
What are you doing?
Yes.
It is Gestapo?
Would it be at the
With
end?
the
Gustavo.
Close. Close
Yes.
enough.
It's close enough. All right, so let's listen to Officer Gustavo. Ask for your papers, please.
Trooper Deanna with the doorstep patrol. The reason for the stop, notice when you came up to the red light, you had your phone in your hand. You got your license?
I didn't have my phone in my hand. I got a camera in my
Okay, you got
phone
your
deck.
license. Did you see the guy standing out by the road?
I got a camera in the phone deck.
Did you see the guy
I
standing
did
out by
not
the
have
road?
my phone in my hand.
Okay. All right, you still live at 66? All right, thanks, God.
You didn't have your phone in your hand. I know I didn't. You lying. Yeah, that's it.
The DWB and that.
Thank you.
Think again. More Americans listen to podcasts than ad-supported streaming music from Spotify and Pandora. And as the number one podcaster, iHeart's twice as large as the next two combined. So whatever your customers listen to, they'll hear your message. Plus, only iHeart can extend your message to audiences across broadcast radio. Think podcasting can help your business? Think iHeart. Streaming, radio, and podcasting. Let us show you at iHeartAdvertising.com.
I love that you haven't witnessed it far.
This is what Americans deal with on a daily basis. It's
This is triggering me right now.
Jim found a man who gained centipedes into the washer. That's why you gotta have a camera. Because they be lying. Police be lying. I got a whole camera. It's documented. That's why I got one. Shit like that. They be lying.
Good on you.
Vaporize your cold with NyQuil Vapor Cool. It's NyQuil plus a rush of Vicks vapors. NyQuil Vapor Cool, the vaporizing, nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, fever, best sleep with a cold medicine. Use as directed. Keep out of reach.
I feel like you did a good job communicating with a cop. A lot better than me.
One thing we were commenting on is I don't have the class for this.
A lot of practice, probably. Unfortunately.
I bet, especially in Houston County, man.
Everywhere. I mean, and you have to keep your composure.
Mm-hmm.
You do.
It goes the wrong way a lot of times.
And let's be honest here, minority, your color around here does matter.
Exactly.
So you got to take that into account.
Yep.
And the guy in the back as well. So it's
yeah. I mean, even him, it's like he didn't want to move.
Yeah, he looks scared. He looks very scared.
Yeah.
I don't blame him.
Something that he's probably been through a time before.
And that's your job, right? You drop.
Yes.
All right, hang on. Let me back it up, guys, so we can hear the offer of a bill of attainder by Officer Gustavo. And then I'll ready.
All right, you are going to get a ticket. Any questions? Call this number. Pay it on. Get it website. I'm here saying get a copy of the citation. I'm here.
My phone and my yard stripping for it. Like yard stripping. What do I got to do? Do I got to sign this?
You can sign it.
Do I have to sign this?
Yes, sir. You have to go to the jail.
We're going to put you in a cage.
Actually, can you leave it together for me? Thank you, sir.
Nope.
Stop safe.
All right.
I might sign it GFY.
All right, so that was 5 minutes. That was one of the fastest citations I've ever
Well, he got
seen.
him to sign that under, what is it, threat?
Arrest.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you clearly didn't have your phone in your hand. God forbid you, argue back that you didn't and not want to sign it. I mean, see?
And that's probably what I should have did, but it's like
No,
I got
that
kids
would
at
have
home.
in a worse situation.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So what do you do?
Exactly.
Sabrina, what do you think about that?
It wouldn't have ended the same with me.
Oh, Sabrina has been tased, by the way.
I tell you, quite honestly, and from the genuine portion of my heart, that I feel nothing but empathy for everything that you have to go through as a Black man, or I don't know if it's deemed melanated as the proper terminology anymore. I am not a proper person, okay?
Yeah.
And I can't envision what it's like to sit on this podcast and hear this stuff come from folks like us, because it's a totally different world for you.
It's needed. So I appreciate that.
It's needed all around for everybody, but there is an understanding that it's a lot harder for people of color simply for that reason. And that's why I say it would not have ended the same with me in that car. It wouldn't have been as fast of a ticket, because I would have called him out. I would have shoved my camera in his face. I would have said, not today.
She's not lying.
I'm not lying. I'm not lying. If he had demanded I sign that paper, I would have signed it GOF. You know the rest. Okay.
Yeah.
And you know what? He would have told me, have a nice day.
Yeah. A lot of times I watch a lot of videos of police interactions, especially with different colors. And it's like, I can't do that. Even if I know that I might be right, it's like, it's only so far I can take it. And I know that. It's just the truth. It really is.
I want to point this out. Okay. Now, good on you for having a camera. And I want to applaud you for posting it to social media and encouraging everybody else to get a dash cam. Because here's how it,
Yeah.
now, can I call you Law?
Yeah, please.
All right, cool. Law.
Yeah.
Law, let me tell you, in most instances, most people wouldn't have the forethought to do that. They would, once they're triggered, react or become hyper vigilant, and then it ends up in death. It ends up in death. So I want to applaud you for having the courage, for one thing, because there's a lot of people
be calm
who don't have the courage to put themselves out there. And all you were really asking for was, hey, I just want to bring awareness that this is going on.
Yeah.
And I want to thank you for that shit. But
Thank you.
what was your walk me through your thought process on after that left with this video, and like when you were like deciding what you were going to do with it, and if you were going to reach out, to any organizations, and how that went about?
Well, I didn't reach out to anybody at all. Everybody reached out to me. I'm not even from here. All of my friends are from the Midwest, and I have a handful of people that are here in Middle Georgia. And that's who I really was hoping to reach. I was like, if I could just reach my handful of people, let them know that is serious. Like, if you don't have your stuff in compliance, don't drive. Like, because they're doing what they're doing, and that's whatever they want. So I was like, if I could just reach a few people, that's fine. Like, it's bad over here. You don't want to take any chances. I took a chance and it didn't work. So that was my main goal. I knew right away when I left. I called my fiance. I'm like, I'm coming home. I'm done driving. I didn't drive for until after the operation was over. I stopped making my money, put making rent for that month at risk, because that was definitely traumatizing.
Yes.
They blatantly lied. So I knew I was coming home, and I knew I was going to post it. I'm a very private person. So I definitely sacrificed my privacy to make awareness at that point in time. And that's what I was willing to do. Did not expect it to take off the way it did. I don't know how it took off, because I went straight to Facebook. I didn't even go to any other apps or platforms. And just right then and there, it just shot up. And I was just glad that everybody was aware. And it really was about the dash cam at that point in time. Like, look, first of all, don't drive right now. And second of all, I bought this thing a year ago for this situation. I'm from Chicago. I know I'm moving to the South. I know the differences. And it's like, that was my protection. It wasn't for my customers, because it's not going to do me any good. They'll be gone before I do anything with a camera. It's for accidents and for police interactions. So
now, did the local press, or did Jonathan Johnson from the NAACP, did they reach out to you? Who reached out to you first?
The local press reached out to me first. And I did all of my interviews with them by myself. And then later on, somebody directed Mr. Johnson to me. So he just spoke again, he just spoke again to the news people that showed up that day.
And I guess because you are the rarity that is willing to stand up and say, hey, this is an injustice. And dude, I get it. Standing up is, especially with legal abuse syndrome, and you get triggered. It takes a lot to stand out there and say, this was wrong. This was wrong.
And that's a very compelling video, though, to hit it with. I mean, there is no doubt within anybody's mind. It's very clear cut, and fortunately, under 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Everybody has time.
It has to be posted. It has to be posted.
They can't say that you were being antagonistic or not complying. Like, it just was.
And it shows what the operation really is about. It's about
exactly money.
It's about money. It's about, we're going to do this as quick as possible, and anybody can get it, and it doesn't matter. We're not listening to anything. We're not trying to hear you out.
Of leading tables to them,
getting people entangled in the machine.
Yeah. And then they got the thing where they're passing the blame because they have a spotter.
Right.
Officer Gustavo is not their main focus. They try to say, well, he was just doing what he was told. We don't know who the spotter was because there were so many of them out there. So
that
really,
would have been the thing that tripped me up. That would have been the thing that triggered me to say, "Oh, so you didn't see this personally? Then why are you at my?"
That's what I was saying too. I'm like, so my accuser is not writing me my ticket.
Exactly.
Somebody that didn't see the action take place, you sending him. So then when there is a complaint, he doesn't get like that bad of a punishment for this. But it's just really weird how they have it set up. And that's really smart on their part. Go ahead.
How did this impact your work? You're a driver. You get paid to do that. I imagine
Yes.
when you have a ding or an offense against your license, this is somehow impactful on your
That's
job.
why I had to take it serious. Also, like, I'm not sure because I don't get tickets. I've been here, and I will say I've been here going on 8, 9 years, and I've only had one ticket when I first moved here. You know what I'm saying? In this area. So this was all new to me. I don't have a lot of police interactions. I will say that. But I've heard you can lose your access to the app. You know, if I lose access to the app, and then
That's
what? You
livelihood.
know, then what? I have my kids here. I have 2 sons and a bonus son. You know, I gotta be able to make money. So, you know, this is
Exactly.
what I love to do because I make my own schedule. I do still hit my quota every month to pay my rent and my overhead, and I like it. So it's like, you know, if that's taken away, that's gonna put me in a bind. And not only that, with that happening, I stopped working for a few days. Like
Yeah.
I was not going back outside. I was
And I
not.
And
totally understand that.
there's no like you're out of work health benefit for you. There's no
Exactly.
sick leave or anything like
Exactly.
that.
No.
And at the end of the day, is trauma influenced by police brutality
Hmm.
considered a reason to take time off of work? Is that sick leave?
Absolutely.
No?
And
Yeah.
look,
Yeah.
and I don't know, and Mike Jones from Controversial Conversations. I don't know if he reached out to you. He
I
spoke with
spoke
us.
to him yet. No.
Okay, well, we'll make sure we connect you guys. He's actually going to be doing Freedom of Information Acts to find out all the statistics during Operation Rolling Thunder. But what I want to point out is in most cases, if people they don't do what you did, they don't have any evidence, they don't have a witness. What happens is, okay, this is going to go to the Houston County Court, okay, and then they're going to go. Well, and I don't want to get into my own personal case with it, but they're going to go down to the Houston County Court, and by default, anybody behind a badge is already, they're the ones who are right. They saw what they saw. They're professionals. We pay them for it. So if they said that you had your phone in your hand, you got your phone in your hand.
Yeah.
And then people who are like, but I didn't, and they don't have video, and they don't know how to bucket, they can't afford a lawyer.
Hmm.
They get bullied into paying it.
They
Yep.
have to pay it.
Yeah,
They have
there's
to
no
pay it.
way I would have got out of that. No way that they would have dismissed that ticket if it wasn't for that camera.
Mm.
You know, I mean, my word against theirs.
And so ultimately, you did your civic duty. Thank you. And you made it known that this is what occurred. And from my understanding, what happened? Did they drop the charges? What happened after you posted this and it caught on?
So, what is his name? Lieutenant Christians from I guess Post 13, which is Perry. And well, actually, my fiance, when I got home, she went ahead and did the front leg work of trying to file the complaint. So she called and got the number for Georgia State Patrol. Her sister Mimi just graduated law school at FAMU, so she tracked down a number for us. And I believe she called them and said, "Hey, you guys might want to check social media because one of your officers is going viral." And my fiance made the call to sort of like get to the point where she can pass me the phone so we can make the complaint. And you can't make a complaint when you call the number. They have to give the number to a supervisor who is trained at talking your ear off and talking you to death to the point where you forget what you called for in the first place or just want to get off the phone. So I walk in the room. She's been talking to this Lieutenant Christians for at least 25 minutes at that time. I'm trying to be fair. I walk out, I come back maybe 10 minutes later. She's still talking. So I sit there for a while and he talks to me, very apologetic. "We're so sorry. You handled yourself well. You know, we can't believe." He was very robotic. Mr. Deanda, Officer Deanda was very robotic. That's not, it could have went the wrong way from that, how he was handling you. Like one of my friends. This is how he was trying to come across. Like he was on my side.
Mhm.
But at the end of the day, we forgot we were trying to file a complaint. At least I did. I didn't even know who she was talking to before, I sat there for a second. So we didn't get the complaint filed that day. I called back and was trying to file a complaint again and just let them know, like, listen, I do not want to talk to anybody that's going to talk my ear off. I just really want to take care of business and file a complaint. But it actually took an attorney to step up and reach out to me. It's like, look, we are in Macon. We're going to file this complaint for you. And I appreciate Attorney McKenzie in Macon.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so you're still represented?
She did file my complaint for me. So
Okay.
that it will be representation. Yeah.
And then they withdrew the charges.
They did dismiss the ticket right away. Yeah, within 24 hours. As he
Nah.
was on the phone, he was saying, "You don't have to worry about that ticket. Like that's dismissed." Yeah.
Okay. And did they
Yeah.
apologize to you? Did the officer?
No, not the officer. I never have spoke to Officer Gustavo, but his lieutenant supervisor, Christians, had contacted me, and he was apologizing. Yeah.
Okay. Good on you, man. I'm glad
Mm.
because I guarantee you that during Operation Rolling Thunder, for a lot of people, that is never going to happen.
For a lot of people, yeah, and that's what I was observing. I was like, it's just sort of weird. Like they're over here on this side of town. The mall's right down the street on Houston. We have all these businesses. They're not down there like this. I did see some people standing on the corner when I got down towards the mall, but the way they were enforcing on that side, I was just like, they're not going to be able to protect
Profiling.
themselves. They're not protecting themselves over there. They don't have cameras. I'm sure of it. Like it's
Mhm.
unfair. And a lot of people live check to check. Like we can't just
Exactly.
have tickets come out of nowhere. Like it's a hassle.
Make
It's
your
a hassle.
insurance go up
Yep.
a lot too.
Absolutely.
Now, and see, and I haven't gone back to watch the city council thing last night. Okay, I remember kind of how council responded, and what we always anticipate is whenever the state comes at us like this with these uh, uh, acclimation programs, okay, to acclimate us to the fact that we do live in a police state now. We do. There's no doubt about it. They always do it's for your safety. It's for your safety. And, it's hard. I don't think that it's possible for people on the other side of the fence, people who are in government or I don't think that they can empathize with we the people anymore. And if you work for government and you have interaction with peace officers, I like to call them peace officers to remind them of what they're supposed to be. They like law enforcement. I like to call them peace officers,
Right.
but we know what they are. But I don't think that it's that people who are in local government or in that area that they can empathize with the fact that, look, the way that you guys get treated by people behind a badge are not the way that we get treated, right? And like we have tried to iterate to people in Warner Robins, you guys can sit here and try to gaslight us and say that it's for your safety and your security. But I'm on the other end of it. You're on the other end of it. Sabrina's on the other end of it. Mona's on the other end of it. And we don't feel fucking safe.
Not at
Do
all.
not feel safe.
Not at all. And that's another thing I was looking for my phone to make sure I got that guy's name right. But we had just lost the Uber driver that week.
Mm-hmm.
He was murdered. They found his car in Warner Robins, and they found his body in Atlanta. And to me, that was supposed to keep me off the road. I was supposed to be sort of shook from a loss of somebody else trying to just live their life. Mr. Sammy Jackson, condolences to his family. But that should have shook me. But instead, I went home because of the interaction with a police officer, and they're supposed to protect and serve. They're supposed to make me feel safe on the streets, and that's not how I felt.
Imagine if they weren't pulling you over for a bullshit case and they were instead figuring out murderers.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Now you talk about you're composed because of experience, and like Sabrina said, I use different terms than most people. Law, I don't see the world in black and white. I know a lot of people do, like Sabrina pointed out. I like to use correct terms, melanated, on degrees,
Yes.
like so. But you're more melanated than me, clearly. Okay, and I am, I became aware of the plight of the melanated man in my early 20s. How it came about was I used to be a supervisor for an inventory company, and most of the guys who were in my team or whatever, they were melanated guys, and we would travel all over the South, Tennessee, Alabama, things like that. And I was a drinker back back in those days, And of course, you'd do your job, and we were always staying in hotels and per diem and stuff like that. And it never occurred to me when I came here to Warner Robins. You hear people talk about systemic racism, and I look like I look, so I'm like, what? You know what I mean? But one time I'll never forget it. We had done our job. We were in, I think it was Alabama, and of course, as soon as we clocked out, me and the guys, we go do what we do. Going to go get some drinks and things like that, and I'm going way too hard with it because that was me back in the day.
Okay.
And my team members, they're cool as all get out. They hadn't even had anything to drink, and we wanted to go to the Waffle House or whatever. We're in Alabama, all right, in rural Alabama. And I was kind of three sheets to the wind at this point. But I had a beer in both pockets, and I was making a scene at the Waffle House. And somebody who was working there, they called the cops, and the cops came in and went straight for my two melanated guys, right? And I go, whoa, 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 whoa! What are you guys doing? I'm the asshole that they called you about. And the Alabama police officers were still very adamant, and that really opened up my eyes. That instance, and there was another instance where I think we were in somewhere in Georgia, but it was rural Georgia, where me and one of my melanated guys, we walked in to go get dinner at like a Shoney's or a steakhouse, and this waitress came, and she said, "Just the one of you." And that really, I'm fortunate that in my early days here in the South, I was able to see, hey, this isn't just some illusion in melanated people's mind. This is a real systemic problem, and I'm fortunate that I had those eyes. But is this? And I can only imagine, as you being as composed, this is something that happens all the time.
Yeah, I've been here for a while now. I don't know if the gray hairs are telling me, but I was born in '83. So yeah, man, I've
We earned
seen
it.
I've seen a lot. Heard a lot of stories. I was fortunate enough to come here on summer vacations to Atlanta and McDonough when I was younger. Every summer working with my uncle and stuff like that. So I was a little bit sort of knowing what I'm getting myself into. I've been here before, but yeah, it's something that we have up north, Midwest. It's still a problem. It might seem a little bit better, but it's the system. Like you said in the last podcast, they're soldiers in the Imperial Army, and they're doing what they're supposed to be doing and what they're not supposed to be doing. I don't know, but they get jaded. And I can understand that. I think that's the word I use a lot of times when I'm sort of like trying to have a perspective of what it might be like to be an officer. Like you get jaded. Deal with whatever you deal with. I don't know, man, because there's so much that goes into it. It's more than
Everybody's
being
fragile.
jaded. Yeah, it's more than being jaded, but I don't know. But yes,
I
it's
get
something
it.
that I
I
deal with a
worked
lot.
for a vet clinic at one point, and between having to put people's animals down and have conversations with them about finances, you develop a hardness that's
Right,
similar. It's on a different
right,
scale, of course, because you're dealing with
right.
humans,
But
but
exactly, it
it's
happens in
the same.
different forms, which gives you the idea like you
Yes.
have to get jaded. You have to get jaded after a while.
Well,
And
Right.
that's why I never would want to be an officer because it's like it just doesn't fit. Doesn't fit. It doesn't fit for me to even think that I could even do something like that.
And then, all jadedness aside, I will give them that portion, but we do also have to acknowledge that a little bit of ego is
Hmm.
involved in
Yeah,
selecting officers for the simple fact that that power will go to
yeah,
their heads.
yeah,
They
yeah.
and
do have a profile for selecting people who will be
Hmm.
law enforcement.
And those certain people maybe go after that power because they didn't have it growing up. So
Mhm.
that's something that's always been in my head. It seems like those kids that just wasn't that in school, maybe, and now they got that badge and that gun, and they can sort of throw people around. I don't know. I don't
mhm,
know.
yeah,
Well,
yeah,
it's funny you say that because actually growing up, I wanted to be a cop.
Yeah.
I went into the military to be military police.
Okay. MP.
I got out of that.
Yeah.
About
Yeah.
8
It
weeks
crossed
into
my
basic
mind.
training,
It
I
crossed my
said,
mind.
no
Yeah.
way is somebody gonna have that level of control over my life, because when you
Yeah.
realize what you give up to be a police officer, to be a soldier of the country.
Exactly.
You don't have rights at that
Yeah.
point. You are literally a pawn doing what you are told, moving on the board where you are told to be.
Don't really get to think for yourself.
Exactly.
You gotta follow along.
A
Yeah.
lot of the problems that I saw is, you're 83, I'm 80, so we remember before 9/11. Okay. And after 9/11, the entire country became traumatized, and people do stupid things for safety and security when they're traumatized, and the nation did. And they passed a bunch of things that they really shouldn't have passed, like the Patriot Act and the Defense Authorization Act 2012 was a bad one, but I digress. What really started amping this up, and whereas the melanated community has always been aware of police brutality because we know the history of the police. They were instituted to catch slaves that ran away. That's where police started. Okay. And so after 9/11, when it started amping up with the Patriot Act and everything like that, now the rest of the ethnicities started to go, wait a minute, you know what I mean? And the reason why is because you have the federal government. They put these threat fusion centers all over the country where, because of 9/11, and them using the Hegelian dialectic, which is you create a problem, there's a reaction, and then the solution. Well, the problem is there's terrorists everywhere. The people react. They want to be secure. And so here, let's give them the solution, a police state where there is a national database and it's a national police force. And we're going to trickle down orders. And a lot of it was after 9/11 where these threat fusion centers would send down to local sheriff's departments and police departments these news briefings. And it made these local ocals feel real special because the Department of Homeland Security is giving us briefings on how to look for terrorists, and started slowly changing the mentality of the peace officer to militarized, right? And they started conditioning local forces, sheriff's office and police departments to view we the people not as who they're supposed to serve and protect, but as enemy combatants. And that conditioning has stuck, right? There are very, very, very few officers who are still on the force that remember prior to that type of conditioning. And so now, and we've covered on the Wartown Times before that, most of your police forces are being trained on tactics by Israel, the Israeli government. And we see what they do. We see how, in an apartheid state, how their whole mentality is to see any warm body that moves as an enemy combatant. And there's word games going on, just like in 1984, where, like, if you were to ask a police officer or a chief of police or a sheriff, hey, there's way too many instances in our community of police brutality, or in your case, like with Officer Gestapo, the way he treated you, right? They would respond with something along the lines of, well, we're trained on how to de-escalate the situation, right? Now, you got to clarify your terms, okay? Yeah, they are. They're trained on how to de-escalate it. But if you were to get them in a room and go, well, how do you do that? They'll say, by getting compliance. Right? If you don't ask a little further and go, okay, so you guys are all trained on de-escalation, and you just drop it right there, you're like, oh, okay, cool, they are. They're extensively trained on de-escalation. But if you get them on the stand, right, and you go, and how does that training go? Gaining compliance by any means necessary, and then I can de-escalate the situation.
Right. So true.
Am I wrong? I mean, you know what I mean?
Absolutely right.
Right. But a lot of people, they don't think that far, and they don't look that far into it. I remember, after the National Defense Authorization Act of 2012, I was arrested for some stupid shit. Spent 3 days in a cell here in Houston County for not identifying. Okay, walking my dog in a public park with no ID because I don't live in Germany. All right, do you remember that, Sabrina?
I do. It's one of my favorite episodes.
They took me in like Hannibal Lecter, because I refused to identify. And the funny thing is I'm a local activist and blogger, and I'm an author and all that.
They knew who he was.
They knew who I was the minute that they made contact with me. They just wanted me to comply.
Yeah.
They wanted me to comply.
And I guess that's the similarity that I would say resonates between people like Crumpton and I who are not as melanated, and we resist the law, and our melanated friends, you know, we can resist a little bit more, but at the same time, we're targeted simply because we've stood up for something, you
Yeah.
know.
And
You were
that's why you're
targeted.
appreciated by me. That's
Yeah,
why
you know.
you know, because we need more people to stand up.
Yeah.
We do. We need that. And even with Mr. Johnson of the NAACP, I was so happy that he said it wasn't a race thing, even though we know it's because I'm melanated, but I didn't want it to give off that tone because we need people like y'all. You know what I'm
And
saying?
I
That
get
that
that.
do what you
I
do. Yeah.
totally support that. And at the same time, I'm going to be freaking honest with you and tell you, I wish I was black, because my case would have already been solved by now if I was. Okay. Truth be told, I would have more support right now
Yeah. Yeah.
if the black community was with me for the color of my skin.
Yeah.
But I went a different route from you. Okay. I went straight for the lawyer.
Yeah.
And unlike talking to the officers when you went to file your complaint, I talked to a lawyer who sweet talked me into thinking that we were going in a lawsuit after the police, but instead all she did was get the record of the event wiped off my record,
Okay.
which did nothing for me. It did not erase what had happened. It did not take away the fact that I spent a week after being tased sore in my tits. I mean,
Mhm.
like, there was an injustice done,
Right.
and they felt
Right.
like that was enough. I feel like the whole county was involved literally in a psyop to shut me down in maybe a little escalated of a manner than actually had happened. But I feel like, gosh, from the police to the gosh darn lawyer who wasn't involved in getting a little something out of my wallet this day, you know?
Mm.
And that's the mentality that I'm stuck with, because if you didn't show up to kill me, you show up to kidnap me and take my money. Pick one. Either way, you're wrong about it. So, you know, um, that's the only connection that I can really resonate in terms of the targeting of people, you know,
Mhm.
is I don't disagree with one bit of the fact that you were targeted simply for the color of your skin. If somebody was standing outside of your car and spotted you, then they clearly saw that you were literally like this the entire time. Okay.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
no way to deny that,
I don't think
you
There's
so.
know?
no
So
I
if
don't
confusing
you
think
it.
so.
I mean, and that's the thing. And I don't want to go against your wishes to turn it into something that you feel that it may
I,
not be.
I
Can I do
actually
that?
agree. Like even the way my phone is set up. If you can look at my car, I don't know how you look past the back of my phone sitting right there in front of the
But
windshield.
I
Like,
get it, because the
you
moment
know,
you say you were targeted for being black, there goes your case.
hmm
Everybody is now on a side, you know, they're picking a
Yeah.
side based
Well,
on the color
that's
of their
something I heard you say in the last podcast too. Like, it's not about driving a wedge because it's good people. That was a messed up situation. You know what I'm saying? But I didn't want to turn people away that do have good hearts, that
Yeah.
are activists, that do know. You know what I'm saying? What somebody like me goes through. You know, by saying it was just a race thing. I think it just gets overplayed sometimes where it just has a wrong effect on some
Yes.
ears. You
Mhm,
know.
mhm.
That's
Yes.
all. But we know
Yeah,
And
what it
it's a
was.
shame when
We
it's
we
true,
know
though.
what it was. Yeah,
It's a
we know.
shame
We
when
know
it's
what it
true.
was.
and
Absolutely.
Law, I want to thank you for thank you for acknowledging. I don't. I'm like Captain America, man. I don't like bullies, and I'm always on the side of the underdog and the oppressed. Like I'm anywhere because I
Hmm.
come from the dirt, so
Yeah.
I know what it's like. To come from the wrong side of the tracks myself. But I don't like bullies, and I'm going to stand with whoever's being oppressed. I don't give a fuck who they are, what they look like, or what they're doing. If they're getting bullied, there's just something in me, and I've always
Hmm.
been that way. It's got me more trouble than than I care to admit. A
I
lot of
believe it.
trouble, and
Yeah.
I don't do it for praise, and because that certainly doesn't fucking come. More people, they wag their tongue at you than anything
Yeah.
whenever you do try to bring it up. But I'm so sorry in my observation, as long as I've been in the South, a lot of it is based off of how they perceive race, and it is a systemic thing. And here's the fucking problem, especially around the South. You know, you have melanated people who feel that they don't want to push that issue too much because it's played out, right? And then you have Caucasian looking people who think it's just a card that's being played. But
Exactly.
here's the issue. A lot of people around here, they don't read books too fucking good, and they don't understand that where systemic racism starts is on an evolutionary level. We evolved to spot things that are not like us as a threat to survive. So a part of our reptilian brain, there is instilled racism that must be deconditioned. And before you can uncondition systemic racism in your own reptilian brain from evolution, okay, you have to acknowledge that it's there and go, I don't need that for evolution anymore. Yeah. And you have to, like therapy, uncondition yourself to seeing that which is not like you as a threat. Yeah. Now, if you haven't gotten to the part there, that part where you acknowledge that this is facts, these are facts, the system's still racist. Yeah. If the system can't acknowledge it. Yeah.
And we know it can't. We know it hasn't. Maybe it can, but it hasn't. It hasn't done that. You know, and we appreciate the people like you that has made that realization in your life, because that's what we need. But unfortunately, just too much of the opposite, you know?
Yeah. And at the same time, it's thwarted by folks who, you know, do play the card, you know, at the same time, you know, want to pick a silly instance to say this happened because I'm Black, when it very clearly is just because, well, the circumstances being what they may, you're actually the asshole here, you know? And I hate that. I hate that, because then, you know,
when it is true,
in that position.
Yeah. It's been cried wolf too many times. So it's crazy. It is.
See, and I don't have a nice, clean record like you do. The evidence that I have took me
record's not all that good.
No, it's not. The very thing that's going to prove that I never had a warrant was all the trouble that I've been in with cops previously. Yeah. I'm going to the table with almost a dozen speeding tickets. If I had a warrant, I think I would have been arrested sooner than 8 years later. So yeah, I mean, I'm glad that you got your apology, and honestly, I wouldn't stop there. Yeah, I would want more, and maybe that's just the greedy nature of me, or the traumatized person inside of me saying, you know what, they're not gonna be done until I'm done with them. Yeah, but I get it. And I appreciate that you have brought it to the table, and I'm glad that you have received some resolve.
It does have to be more, because I think I was sharing with you, Daniel, about my second pullover, like right after that.
All right, go ahead. Tell Sabrina and Mona about this.
So this day, I'm driving down Russell. This is
also on your YouTube channel, right?
Yeah. Now this is yes, it is. Yep. This is the Warner Robins Police Department this time.
Okay.
That pulled me over. So I went to Russell, headed towards the Circle K and Fresco's. So he was in a Fresco's parking lot. I saw him because somebody else was pulled over in the middle of the median lane with a different officer. And he was sitting to the right, coming out the parking lot. As soon as I'm about to pass him, I'm doing ride share, and I got the alert to get a ride. So, of course, I'm taking that ride. You know, I hit the accept button as I pass him. Didn't think nothing of it, because this is ride share. Like, I mean, my phone's on the mount, hit the accept button. I've read the terms and conditions, and I reread them after this incident. You can use a one-tap feature to accept rides. So in my mind, if you have your phone on the mount and you get a phone call, you can push the green button and say hello. Okay? What we cannot do, we cannot watch videos on our phones. We cannot have the phone on our body, on our person. We cannot scroll through a playlist. But as long as you're using the one-tap feature to accept the ride, you're good. As long as you don't pass by a police vehicle with the lights on, school zones, certain conditions. So in this case, I wasn't doing any of that. And he pulled me over. So I'm asking him like, hey, first of all, he pulled me over in a Circle K gas station as I was about to pump my gas. I don't know if that's private property or whatever, but he jumped behind me with his lights on at the pump. So I'm already out the car. And this video wasn't that good because most of the interaction happened outside the vehicle. But I'm like, what's going on? He's like, well, I saw you messing with your phone. You can't do that. I'm like, all right, well, I'm driving ride share. I hit the accept button. I saw you sitting there, and I didn't really think that would be a problem to hit accept with my phone mounted. He's like, you're not allowed to manipulate your phone at all while driving. I'm like, well, how do these companies stay in business? He's like, oh, just give me your license. And he went to his car. And I was like, all right. So I got in my car. I talked to my camera for a minute. And he was taking way longer than Officer Gustavo. So I took that time to get out the vehicle to go approach. And he could have been very aggressive at that time. This officer was approachable. He heard me out. He did say, hey, I'll be with you in a second. You can return to your vehicle. And I was just like, hey, I'm not trying to be an asshole, but I can't get a ticket for this right here. Like, what does the law say? And he ended up giving me a warning. But what he told me the law says is, in order to accept rides, I have to pull over on the side of the road to accept rides for Uber while doing ride share. I'm not supposed to touch my phone at all, according to what the law says in his perspective. He says, I'm taking my eyes off the road by doing that, even though my phone is right in front of my dashboard. I feel like I'm taking my eyes off the road by controlling my climate in my car more than I am by hitting the accept button. And after that interaction, I did read that you can't accept on expressway. I did read if you are doing Uber Eats, you're not allowed to touch your phone at all. So those rules don't apply to Uber Eats. Just throwing that out there if anybody's listening. It's not the same as rideshare. But for a rideshare driver doing Uber and Lyft, it's a one-tap factor. Spoke with attorney McKenzie. She agreed. We read everything in Uber terms and conditions. That's what it says. And he lied. And that's the problem. Like, you're lying to make the tickets go. You know what I'm saying? You're saying whatever you want to say to give out tickets that could cost me my job.
Right.
And you don't care. And I appreciate him. I will say he was approachable. I didn't feel like he was treating me like a criminal, but I felt like I know he lied. He lied.
And at the end of the day, he still issued a warning.
He did issue a warning, and if I didn't get out the car, I would have got that ticket. If I didn't approach him when I did, and talk to him, and thankfully he did let me speak because he could have got aggressive right there. But I just was like, if he gets aggressive, he gets aggressive. Yeah, I don't know if at that point in time, after he ran my name, he maybe knew who I was. People's like, yeah, they're targeting you. And I'm like, I don't really know if it's targeting. First instance was Georgia State Patrol. This is Warner Robins PD. Like,
they have an interconnected database.
Yeah.
They have an interconnected database. So
especially
anything
within that area.
Yeah. And it was that area. Yeah.
And so that was after Gestapo.
Yeah. So that one was, Gustavo was on the 30th and this was February 7th. February, 7 days later. 7 days later.
That would make me feel away, and I've been pulled over twice in the same day.
Yeah. Do you want me to play that video, Sabrina, that you did? All right.
Yeah.
Cool. Let me get my screen share here. It's going to go to the
activate infinity screen.
Is my mistress texting me? Hang on. All right. Okay, let me know when you can see it.
I can see me.
Can you see it? Everybody can see it?
Yes.
All right. Here we go. Righty. Let me go ahead and...
I'm here today because I got pulled over again on the 7th around 10:30 a.m. I was coming down Russell and Warner Robins. And I'm here today to pose a question to my Georgia drivers or any state drivers that the laws apply the same. Do you have
First of all, I think we're witnessing the birth of an activist here.
Over on the side of the road to accept, deny, rideshare rides. All right. So from my understanding, I do read the terms and conditions and have read the terms and conditions of Uber that you can accept rides while driving. In this video, I apologize. It's not as good as the last one. A lot of the interaction with the officer, who is Charles Conley, badge number 124, was outside of the vehicle. I was in Circle K on Russell. As I was passing him, I saw him coming out of the driveway, phase only to one of the multi-color restaurants right there. And as I'm passing them dead near, right in front of them, I got a ride request for Uber, and I accepted it with the one-tap feature and continued on my way. He immediately pulled behind me, and I pulled in Circle K, about to pump gas. He pulled a Circle K with his lights on.
Turn left.
What is bitch? As I'm out the car grabbing the pump, he approached me and told me I cannot manipulate my phone while driving. And I was explaining to him like, hey man, I did the one touch feature. I tapped the accept button. You know, I know you saw me, but I have to be in compliance because how can these companies stay in business if we can't accept the rides? He told me we are not allowed to touch the phones at all while driving. It doesn't matter if they're on the phone now, you can't touch your phone while driving. Doing good?
Yeah, stop these guys. That's what you're calling up there, and you can't do that while you're trying to operate the motor vehicle on the highway, okay? I'm doing it right. You can't sit right. You can't manipulate that phone. Okay? Like you're taking your eyes off the road. You can't look at all that. Got your driver's license there. Sit tight, you okay?
His perspective was I'm taking my eyes off the road. To me, my dash mount is in front of my windshield. I can see out my windshield while I'm hitting accept. I take more of my eyes off the road when I'm controlling my climbing, which is lower in the console of the car. All right, so I'm being pulled over, and he's telling me that I manipulated my phone. I told him I'm doing ride share. All I did was hit accept, and I'm getting pulled over. So right now, I am on Russell at the Circle K gas station. It is 10:39 a.m. and he's trying to give me a ticket for hitting the button accept for my rideshare ride. All right, so I went back and talked to him and let him know, like, man, what does the law say? Like, these things, my phone is on a mount. I have to accept these rides to be able to make my money. And he's saying you can't manipulate the phone at all while driving. And it's like, to hit the accept button, I can't manipulate the phone at all. Like, he's like, it makes sense not being in your lap, not being on your person. But what does the law say? Like, it's on a mount. I'm tapping the accept button. He said you need to be able to verbally command the phone to accept. And if it's not set up like that, then it has to be you pull over to accept the ride. Is that what the law says? Is that what the law says? Like, because at this point, I'm confused. How rideshare companies even stay in business? I'm confused. I don't get it. He was, I guess, nice enough to give me a warning. I went back and explained to him, like, look, these tickets can possibly close my Uber account to where I can't even drive. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm out here trying to make a living. Like, what are y'all really doing? Like, you can touch the radio. They have the volume button on the radio. You can turn your radio up and down. I can control my heat. I can control my climate. But me hitting the accept button on my phone, now I got to get a ticket. Like, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. Pulling over every time you get a ride, please. I gotta pull over. I gotta basically almost cause accident because these rides is coming in like this. You got what, 15 seconds, if that's what accept the ride before it passes you up. So I gotta quickly try to stop on the expressway. Oh, I have to pull over and get on the shoulder to accept the ride, or I'm gonna get a ticket. I'm gonna get a motherfucking ticket for pulling over on the fucking expressway. He told me that I have to pull over on the side of the road to accept and deny rides. I told him I asked him, is that the law? I don't believe that's the law. Is that the law? He told me that's the law. So my question is, do we have to pull over on the side of the road to accept and deny rides? I believe if you're driving and you get a phone call, you can hit that green button and say hello and answer the call. You cannot dial a number. You cannot scroll through your contact list. You cannot scroll through a playlist. You cannot post on social media, watch videos while driving. These are all things that are not in compliance of the law. So it's just a misunderstanding. I have to say, Officer Charles Conley, was approachable. He listened to me. He did not treat me like a criminal, and he was understanding. As he pulled up, I gave him my license. He went to his vehicle. I pumped my gas. I got back in my car, and I did hop out of my car to go speak to him because he was taking some time, and I knew he was probably going to give me a ticket. So I went to him, and he advised me that he was going to be with me in a moment, and I can return to my vehicle. And I still approached and said, "Hey, I'm not trying to be an asshole." At that moment, he could have been aggressive and not heard me out, but he took the time to listen, and I do appreciate that, and I feel like Georgia State Patrol could take notes because that's how you deal with people. You know, we are civilians. If we're in compliance, have license insurance, we shouldn't be treated like criminals, and he heard me out, and I appreciate that. And he ended up giving me a warning, and he took the ticket back, and he didn't have to do that. But did he lie? By telling me that we have to pull over on the side of the road, is that the law, or is that what he feels would be more safe? And I don't feel you could just say what would be more safe and issue a ticket if it's not in the law. A lot of times we may understand what the law is because we read the terms and conditions and we explain that to the officer what we're doing, and they still issue a ticket. And these tickets can actually cancel out my contract with Uber. That's why I took the last issue serious. That's why I have to take this issue serious. And I have to ask the question to anybody that's driving in compliance to the law: do you feel you have to pull over to accept or deny rides when I'm doing ride sharing? And that's all. I'm here today because I got.
Yes.
Thank you.
I just think it's so crazy. Like, we see you manipulated your phone. Meanwhile, we're on a laptop and we're on our phones and we're doing all of this stuff. And it's like, I don't know.
It's
Like I'm like you. It doesn't just stuff just don't make sense, man.
it's to do as I say, not as I
Right?
do. That's how they have it.
Well, I actually thought
We only use 80% of the equipment that our cars come equipped with anymore, you know, between all the knobs and gadgets on the dash. There are apps actually built into your screen in cars, newer model cars, that are driving apps where you can alert people to different hazards on the road. You know, you've seen them. They have it
Yeah.
on Google Maps,
Yeah.
Waze. And I don't know about you, but if you've used the Waze one, like there is a whole series of menus that you have to go through to report certain things on the road. And I'm just like, whoa. If you
Yeah.
want to talk about a distracted driver, they are not hitting a home run there. But I would imagine that Uber and Lyft have the lockdown on this. Like,
I would imagine too. That's exactly what I was trying to state to him. Like how is
Or-
this even possible?
Earlier, I wanted to say I understand what he was saying earlier about cops are jaded or they, they deal with their own complexes. Not all cops are bad, okay? But there's one thing to make a mistake, but there's one thing to just lie. Like they lied on you twice. There's a difference. Like that's just blatant. You didn't
And
even
I'm
have your
still trying to
phone
be
in your hand, and they
positive.
said we saw you with your phone in your hand. Like,
Exactly.
and that's one thing I want to correct you about.
that's not jaded. That's called lying.
Yeah,
It
and
is.
it's not a feeling that you have that, that's not right. It actually is not right. Okay.
Thank
There's
you.
no
Yeah.
feeling or question about it. And anybody
Right.
who doesn't resonate and understand that is clearly broken. I mean, I can't put it any other way. You're
Yeah.
an NPC walking the earth who's part of the problem. Because if you don't realize how this is very wrong, we can't make it any clearer.
And I also want to
Exactly.
say that, minority, skin color, or whatever, gender. People are tired. I mean, not only the Black community, it's everybody. Like when we were at the protest the other day, there was just more than the Hispanics there. We had Black people there. We had Asians there. People we're tired. I mean, people they're like you. Like we don't have anything to lose. People are now starting to stand up, put out videos, go to city council meetings and speak out. Like we're tired. I think that we're past the point of fear, a lot of us.
Yeah.
And
We got
I think it's great.
You know, what do we got to lose? But talking about that, if I had, like I was saying, I'm thinking about printing out citizen citations. And Law, you are welcome on the Downloaded Content podcast anytime. Keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
And you're doing it in the right kind of a way, which is you're getting their names, their badge numbers, and it's time for us. I was like, okay, if I did the citizen citations, what we could do is all of us together who have been, who are paying attention to what's going on, when we see any minor infraction. For example, if I could tell you how many times I have driven down Watson or Russell and have literally seen Warner Robins police officers driving with a phone in their hand, okay,
on their laptop.
And I'll what is that card, that cruiser number or whatever? And it's like, well, yeah, look, you're going to lead by example. I see it all the time. Or when they're illegally parked, or they're parked off, hiding behind something when OCGA says
How
that
about in the dark with their lights off? I mean, just in general.
We see it all the time.
Yeah.
All the time.
And
I didn't know they weren't supposed to do that.
They're not.
I thought that was okay.
Yeah, they have a separate code of conduct that they abide by, the due regard for that addresses their handling of phones while driving. But they are actually allowed. Well, according to due regard and the trainings that they receive, they are protected to use their phone while driving. Yes. They are also protected to speed, well over 3 times the speed limit, if not more, even maybe 3 times what the offender is actually doing, to actually catch up with that offender to pull them over for speeding.
So if they hit and kill someone, it's not their fault. It's the other person's fault.
Well, you know what's really funny, and I say this, I know you promote the dash cam and all that. The one reason I have refrained from getting a dash cam is because I feel like that would be a magnet. Okay. I'm like, oh no, only people with dash cams catch accidents, right?
Yeah.
Because those are the only things I see on the internet are accidents caught on dash cams. I have, knock on wood, never in my life physically witnessed somebody else getting into some major accident. Now, I've been involved in an accident or two, nothing major, minor stuff, fender benders, but I have never witnessed a major accident, and I certainly don't want to, and I don't want to add the ingredients to my mix that might invite that tragedy for me, right? But at the same time, if we had cameras in my car, the delightful things that we would learn about people and cops in general. But in alignment with that, it's like, even the content that you bring to the table is going to be challenged, right? And that's the biggest piece of it is getting over the hurdle of everybody who's challenging what you're presenting. And getting over that hurdle of being recognized despite whatever the color of your skin might be, the gender of your sex might be, or how bad your driving record might be, right? Getting over those little humps that paint you as the criminal they want you to look like.
Mm-hmm.
I think you're doing a tremendous job of that.
Yeah.
I think that's fabulous. And that's, just as you say, you need people like us. Oh, no. This is what we need right here. More of this. Not really, because that's bad. But at the same time, the exposure, the way you've presented yourself, I wish I like I said it before, I wish I was Black. Maybe I would have learned these things growing up. Okay. I had a white New York daddy. Okay. police records and all that jazz is all in his history, and that's that targeting and family pass downs that I deal with, right? So I get it, but at the same time I'll never get it on the level that you do.
Right.
And I just cherish that Crumpton brought me on this podcast because I learned something. I'm at like 9 months into dealing with gathering evidence and stuff for my own case, and what I learned right here is like
Yeah,
how
and dude,
easily.
and
Yep.
I urge you, especially because with your situation, it's so blatantly clear.
Yep.
So blatantly clear. You do whatever you want. You have free will. But I think that if you pursue this and you make enough noise and bring it to light in such a clear-cut case and show people, lead the way to show people, look, don't back down, don't shirk from fear, challenge this authority. You have to challenge it in a civil way, while we can, because everybody here knows my opinion about this country, especially moving forward past this last election of a dictator, is the America that all of us grew up in is gone. And it's never coming back. And it's only going to get worse. Only going to get worse. And like I was talking to somebody at the bookstore today, I said, look, first what they do is, they give the police or the state a tool and nobody says anything about it. And they go, well, they must not have cared about that. So we gave them radar guns last month. Here, this month, what we're going to do is give them license plate readers. Nobody says anything about it. And they go, they must think they must be okay with that. So now what we're going to do is we're going to put flock cameras everywhere, right? Or give them tanks. I don't know if you know this, but our local police force has Linco Bearcat assault tanks that the taxpayers are paying for, and I'm sitting here for 13 years, Law. I've been looking at these people down, in local government, not the ones who are sitting there now, except for maybe one city councilman who won't go away. But it's like, guys, it ain't a goddamn thing. It ain't got nothing to do with keeping us safe. Giving a police force an assault tank, and they all wanted to call me crazy back then, and now they have like 4. You know what I mean? And it's this slow build, this slow acclimation, because either not enough people or no one stands up and says anything. And the good thing about the fact that we've put an emperor, in Washington, is that I try to look for the silver lining in tragedy. And the silver lining that I do see with this lunatic that literally just said yesterday in a he just signed an executive order that only him and the attorney general can interpret what the law is. Okay, so that's the reality that we live in. It's not far, far away anymore. We live in a dictatorship. And, I don't want to go off on a tangent, but what I mean to say is the good thing is that that people who normally never would have stood together under any other condition, now we don't have a fucking choice. And if we don't stand together now and start doing things, like you've done to bring awareness to it. I mean, I don't have children. I guess all of you guys do, right? I don't want to be in your position if this keeps going.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So we've been going for like an hour and 30 minutes, and I forgot to ask you how long you had. But Law is, just, you don't have to give any details, because I know if you are going to litigate or anything, but are you going to take this forward?
I'm not done yet. We just got the complaint done today, and my attorney was a little busy, and we just closed that out. And I do have a couple people that I'm speaking to, so we're not done. And here we are on your platform. Thank you for inviting me. We're still making noise. We're still moving forward, and we're just trying to bring awareness, but looking into some things. We're not done. We're not done.
Good. And before we do run out of here, what are do you think, in your opinion, do you think that Operation Rolling Thunder was about safety, or what would you say it's about?
It was a money grab. I believe, from my understanding, it's for the grant money they received to get the cars and trucks and everything else that our local received. Gotta let them in and collect. Some money
Yeah.
grab. Some money grab.
Now, you did listen to us at City Council last night. Were you aware of the flock camera system prior to that, or?
No, I'm still new here to where all of this is new information, and that's the problem. Sometimes we don't really get involved until we're affected. And
Right.
now that I'm affected, my ears are open. It's like I have kids, I have boys that are my 16-year-old be driving real soon. It's like this is where we are. This is where I brought him. So
Yeah.
That's
it's
a
like
common denominator. You're
Yeah.
not invested until you're involved.
Yeah.
So it's time to get involved. It's time
Yes.
to get involved.
I always like quoting Chappelle. Everything's funny till it happens to you. Nobody thinks.
Exactly.
Nobody thinks that.
That's gonna be the series theme for this.
Yeah.
Right.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. Nobody thinks it's a big deal until those lights go off one day and they're just appalled.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
We're gonna have 100 people on this podcast before you know it.
Oh, I know.
And better me than my kids. That's how I feel about it. Like,
Let it never be your kids.
Why
Let
wait
us
till
stop
they
it
get into
now.
it? Yeah, exactly.
Where can people find you? Where do you want people to find you on the internet?
Same as my YouTube, Law Dixon, on all things social. All things social is Law Dixon.
All right, and make sure you send me any links that you want to go into the descriptions, and we'll spread this. But please, dude, come back on. Keep us, keep me in your contacts, and I'm going to connect you with some other activists because we have to create a network.
Yes.
We all have to help keep an eye on one another because
absolutely,
you can think what you want to about targeted individuals, or whenever somebody who is the nail that sticks up gets the hammer. When somebody starts making some noise. I have had SUVs parked outside and, days long past. I have seen it all around here. So keep us posted. You're welcome to come on anytime. Push. And Mona, were you about to say something? Oh, you were just like the tap.
She was just making sure she could.
Right. All right. I'll give you ladies the last thoughts on it before we jump out of here, and I'll try to get this up as soon as possible.
No, I would just want to say thank you for being on our show, Law. We really appreciate it. And
thank you for having me, yes.
keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Second that. And I appreciate everything that you demonstrated for us tonight because that is the way. And I hope we can replicate it on a larger scale.
Me too. And I do encourage you also, Law, you need to, show up to City Hall at their next meeting and address them and let them know to their face, our local leaders, let them know, say, hey, this is my experience.
Let us know when you're there. We'll be there.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll speak up for you.
Yeah, because I don't know if I'm as well spoken as you, Daniel. You did a great job. I really appreciate you too, man. Thank you.
Yeah, let us know when you're there. We'll be there.
All right.
All right,
we'll
you
stay
guys,
in touch.
You rock, Law. Thank you.
All right.